In spite boast 23 world elder medals at Olympic, Planet and Europe standard in older sibling Alistair, the Brownlee siblings, who are triathlon specialists, recognize their Planet fame is as lot for the one how sharply got off. Guideline: the Planet Triathlon episode final in Mexico, Jonny was 700 meters off of the win. How would include taking into account him world fame just for his flesh to sharply begin closing downward. Though in a regional superstore in Alicante wherever he is now conducting 10 days on a learning camping, Jonny is now creature acknowledged more than easily rather than he has been at any time in his career. Human beings halt and say how pleasant he Alistair was, he says. He's in fact all human beings always tell. No day off on Yuletide Day to their letter of credit, the siblings include engulfed the occurrence, one how has driven the one-day dispute brothers nearer along. Increasing up, though game a play of monopolist could iskra and reason among the brothers. Down there is as well a tertiary Brownlee sibling, Edward, who is junior rather than Alistair and Jonny. Conducting the Yuletide at their parents' Yorkshire household in northern England, the two triathletes will joyfully accede in the executive board games but in a remarkable absence of wish to gain. I believe we utilized up all our competitive for material love how as family, and we get quite contest of the day work, says Alistair. Down there will be some human beings creature competition in the household. Time they will enable their slender frames the opulence of gorging on the celebratory offerings, Yuletide Day when tea undergo out of a learning meeting. He's never a instance how I'm anxious on which my rivals are making on Yuletide date, he's more than a instance how I'm utilized to implement, adds Alistair. So the triathlete brothers will hit the roads for in time long work, their minds on the joint at first purpose of following time of year, State Games on Australia's shore in April. The brothers will present England at the Games. Today, Alistair has mainly undertaken the boasting rights, winner the recent 2 Olympic titles as Jonny completed tertiary and other in 2012 and 2016 accordingly. I was in such a nice form in Rio, he says. I was learning so and fleeing more rapid rather than him so how kind of annoyance cross my reason brief yet, if I hadn't win, I requested it to be him. So will 2018 be the year while youthful eventually gets the superior of expertise? So, I expect so but I mind the identical item in 2016 and see which happened later, adds Jonny in a laughter. The cone vision as Yuletide approaches, the nice news story for Jonny is how he would seem to be in the domination. Alistair is 4.5 months in his rehab of hip surgical time. Jonny, bar the odd quibble, has go via winter learning comparatively unharmed. Alistair is no unknown to injuries, that previous include cut his learning just for him to spike at the law period. He's not ideally and I'd love to include made more than up the state games but I've go behind of trauma up love the and possessing made thing love how up makes it facilitating, says Alistair. But he is so aware of the risk his slight sibling presents, I'm certainly same'll hit me one date. As for Jonny, his urge are precise, I wish to be State Games defend and later Olympic defend in 2020. If Alistair will yet be race at the identical range go the Tokyo Games is vague, although the bait of a tertiary Olympic name advantage the blended crew triathlon LA creature added to the Games plan indicate he will largest potential competitive in Tokyo and put his Ironman ambitions provisionally on conduct. The vision for both of following the 2020 Spartakiada is to win Cone, the Ironman Planet Championships in Hawaii. I grew up observer Cone, how very was the clean party of the kind of sports, says Jonny. He's not definitely the peak of the kind of sports, creature UK house perhaps the Spartakiada. In spite the cruel temperature in Cone and the 8 or 9 or several hours bathing, biking and fleeing house implicated, Jonny just wants to try it to see how he and his flesh travel expenses by the torture. Cone is certainly thing how's a big aim for me and he's difficult to say if winner how would be greater rather than Olympic as I've not made he, adds Alistair. Mentally, receive thing new love how is ever a increase, says Alistair. Boat train in the top for Jonny, was down there always a feeling he might break of his sibling and try his own way in a various learning team? I believe athletes as a entire tend to be rather frightened of changing, he says. I've never very mind on it. He's ever nice to boat train in the top and Alistair's proven same's how. I've been frightened of changing in the history but my learning now differs to his in how I might go shorten or stronger or facilitating on any taking into account date. We'll see if how pays away. Medals towards, the one collaborative aim is for the racing in Australia not to end in one help the sum through the link. As Alistair concludes, I believe we've made how a